Hello again. This is Marc L with installment number 12, an even dozen of readings from an unpublished novel called Fakes, which is about to be published, I certainly hope, one way or another. It looks very promising. I'll let you know. Anyway, as you will remember, the book is largely about the adventures of Dr. Fanshawe, who left his beloved Britain to go and live in California, where he's had a series of misadventures. But the one thing he was looking forward to about living in San Dementia, California, is the lovely boardwalk by the sea, where hard-bodied, bikinied young ladies zip back and forth on roller skates and whatnot. So he gets himself a pair of roller skates and goes off to join them and see what happens. Nothing good, I assure you. I made my way through the parking lot, holding on to cars as I went along, bumping hard into some of them and setting off a number of car alarms. He's wearing roller skates for the first time in his life. I stopped on the edge of the paved beachside pathway, holding on to a lampstand to remain upright. It was late morning on a weekday, so the route was relatively quiet, with just a handful of boys and girls gracefully whizzing past me on their rollerblades. I couldn't stand there all day, especially with all the car alarms blaring behind me. Sooner or later, someone would connect them with my presence in the municipal parking lot. I spotted another lighting standard in the distance, about 100 feet away, and I decided to launch myself toward it. Gathering up every ounce of courage I could muster, off I went. I leaned far forward, then I leaned far back. I teetered to the left, I teetered to the right, all this with my arms windmilling wildly. I hit the next pole with a thump that knocked the wind out of me, but I congratulated myself for not landing flat on my arse for my first 100 feet of rollerblade journey. I continued like this, going from lamppost to lamppost, pursuing my excursion in segments of 100 feet at a time. I just noted that my technique had improved ever so slightly, my sensation subsiding ever so slowly, from sheer terror to garden variety trepidation when tragedy struck. On an unsteady lurch to my next lamppost oasis, two young ladies cut me off, the very iconic hard-bodied bikini rollerblade teens that had taken center stage in my erotic fantasies. I attempted a braking maneuver, and in doing so, reached out blindly with both arms, hoping to break an eventual fall, unwittingly grabbing at their bikini bottoms and pulling them down as I crashed to the ground, smacking my nose flat on the hard pavement. There ensued a mad pandemonium of which I was only barely conscious. The blow to my face resulted in a profuse nosebleed and a temporary neurological impairment, manifesting itself in a sudden inability to formulate a coherent statement. And as an added touch of cruelty worthy of Abu Ghraib prison, the whirling fans in my special underwear had been knocked askew and were presently chewing on my balls like rabid squirrels. His wife got him special underwear to keep everything cool down there because they want to have a baby. So you have to explain that. The girls, screaming blue murder, simultaneously attempted to pull their bikini bottoms up and shield their exposed parts from an increasingly larger crowd. Next thing I knew, I was whisked away in a howling ambulance, and then I saw fluorescent lights flicking past me, wondering where I was and why I was being subjected to this bizarre neon therapy. It soon became clear that I was on a moving gurney and that the lights were simply ceiling fixtures. I was pushed into a small room, and a number of concerned-looking faces of men and women looked down upon me. The first to speak was a man wearing a surgical cap, a doctor, I presumed. Where are you hurt? He asked me. And I answered him soon. Just a moment. Where are you hurt? He asked me. And for reasons I cannot explain, perhaps the transient neurological disorder, I reverted to my humble origins, betraying my working class background by speaking with a Newcastle accent and using Geordie slang nearly incomprehensible to any normally constituted English-speaking person. I'd told no one, even Horsey, least of all Horsey, that my father was a butcher called Jimmy Cropper, and that my old mum Rosie was a charlady. I'd invented my upper-class identity from whole cloth, even giving my chosen surname its ridiculous spelling. I thus blinked and spoke to the doctor, saying, I feel like I've been on the broom. The doc turned to the trauma team gathered around him and shrugged. Foreigner, he suggested. He turned to me and asked in a loud voice, Where are you hurt? We're here, man, I said. Oh, it's a snoot, madame, gasping. Gasping, the nurse repeated. He said gasping, so he does speak some English. She in turn leaned over me and shouted, Why are you gasping? For a thickin' snoot. She straightened and turned to the team to ask, What language is that? A few hesitant answers came from the group. Russian, German dialect, Swiss, Canadian, Danish. Then a few of the more polyglot members tried their luck. One leaned over and said, Wotu eshve. Yet another gave it a try, Kustin valutab, and finally someone spoke in Russian. No luck. I just continued on my merry Geordie way. Hey, man, homelstabad, I said, clutching at my cranium. No matter. I continued, changing my tone to one of resolve and trying to struggle up from the gurney. Yeah, got me stuck on it. Another misadventure for our poor, dear Mr. Fanshawe, often referred to as Mr. Fanbelt, Mr. Fantan, Mr. Festerno, so on and so forth. Okay, time for a barefaced plug, base mercantile message. Do look up my novel, now published. Comes in paperback, hardback, and ebook. It's available at Amazon all over the world, Barnes & Noble, Indigo in Canada, Rakuten for Kobo fans, so on and so forth. It's just available everywhere. Google Books, whatever. So Apple Books as well. Mustn't forget. Now, it's a good read. Lots of people say so. Anyway, check my website out at www.marcluccarrier, that's MarcLuccarrier, and check out some of the reviews of the book. You'll see that it's very well received. We've got a lot of 4.5, 5 stars on Amazon. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll see you next week for the 13th installment of Readings from Fakes. Bye-bye.